That was, hell, what I went through. But it also freed me. I feel almost born again.
Well, here we are. I've said in the past that I would never watch Disney's products featuring my favorite horny boy.
Will you cover Fiona, attorney at double standards, if Daredevil gets character assassinated?
Only seen episodes 3 and 4, not watching anymore.
But guess what?
I lied.
Well, not really. I did mean that when I said that at the time. But then, a funny little tweet came up on my feed a year ago.
A Marvel executive has said Netflix's Daredevil show, which ran from 2015 to 2018, is now considered MCU canon.
Actually, Madvocate, the Netflix shows directly reference events from the MCU, so it's always been canon.
This office was barely touched by the incident, which is why it's on the market already.
The incident, is that what we're calling it now?
Well, it sounds so much better than death and destruction raining from the sky, nearly wiping Hell's Kitchen off the map.
Haverson cornered me in the bathroom this morning.
Is this something I'm gonna want to hear?
Impressive. Very nice, straw nerd. Let's see the MCU referencing the Netflix shows. And no, I don't mean simply showing the same characters being played by the same actors. That's meaningless thanks to the multiverse. I mean the 616 universe, as labeled by Multiverse of Madness and insanely coincidentally by Mysterio, clearly referencing events from the Netflix shows. Because at the time the Netflix shows were happening, it was rather ambiguous. The best faith conclusion was that they took place in a parallel universe that happened to share some events from 616. And in the past month and a half, a couple sources basically confirmed what I had been suspecting since the nanosecond I saw Wilson Fisk's low-res noggin appear on that phone in Hawkeye. The future Daredevil content to be produced by Disney was intended to be a reboot of sorts. The signs were there all along too, but apparently it wasn't as clear to most people as it was to me. Charlie Cox said in a late 2022 interview that Kevin Feige himself saw Born Again as a season 1 rather than a season 4.
But my instinct is, based on the name of the show, it's called Born Again, the fact that that Kevin talks about it as being a season 1 rather than a season 4, my feeling is this is a whole new deal.
Some of the first set photos that dropped were of Matt and a woman who was allegedly his new law partner as part of his new law firm, Murdoch and Associates, completely contradicting the implication of what was to follow after season 3. That was just a rumor, of course, but it made sense since Foggy and Karen were not going to appear. Then in October of 2023, news broke that Born Again underwent a complete creative overhaul, in which Karen, Foggy, and Bullseye were now written into the show and to be played by their previous actors. Vincent D'Onofrio himself said the initial Born Again was going to have zero crossover with Netflix, but there's a lot now thanks to the overhaul. And then in January 2024, around the same time that tweet was made, we received our first visual confirmation that Born Again is a sequel to season 3. An Echo trailer featuring footage from the Netflix show, as well as promoting the show for viewers' preparation to watch Echo. Then we get that set photo of the Nelson, Murdoch, and Page office exterior, snapping the rumored Murdoch and Associates law firm out of existence. That woman is still in the show though, as seen in a recent teaser trailer, so either Murdoch and Associates was never a thing from the get-go, or it becomes a thing later, or they just rewrote her role in it. And last but not least, Wilson Bethel confirms that Born Again picks up 5 years after season 3. With all of this in mind, I think it was extremely telling that up until the creative overhaul, the Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk that have appeared in No Way Home and the Disney Plus shows were not intended to be the same ones from Netflix. And now that these motherfuckers canonized it, there's just one small problem. Well, two major problems. Fisk's introduction in Hawkeye and the premise of Born Again make no fucking sense. Hawkeye placed him out and about with his Diamond Cane comic outfit, wider than he's ever been before, roaming the streets even though he's supposed to be locked up for life plus the time for crimes he's guilty of in season 3.
One RICO count carries a 20-year sentence. Fisk was convicted on 5.
Well, the state of New York isn't gonna make the same mistake. Everyone knows his game now. Fisk won't manipulate the system again.
And apart from his mere existence in Hawkeye, this shot is the most telling evidence that he's not Netflix Fisk. I cannot fathom how someone could watch the Netflix show in its entirety and walk away with the impression that Fisk has the strength of the fucking Red Guardian. This is some super soldier type shit. He should have killed Matt pretty quickly during their fights if this is his power level. So either this is a metahuman variant Fisk, or those chuckle fucks severely, gravely, hilariously underestimated how hard it would be to break off a car door by just yanking it. Hope they keep his strength consistent in Born Again. As for Echo, the only giveaway that I know about is Fisk's hammer being different from Netflix. Like, I refuse to believe that Disney accidentally got a ball peen instead of a claw hammer. How hard can it be for the monster money printing company to get the right type of hammer? It has to have been intentional. And just for the record, Fisk does say his mom kept the hammer in season 3, which he only found out about after she died. If anyone is gonna claim this has always been Netflix Fisk, and he bought a substitute hammer because the original was tossed out. And then we have the premise they chose for Born Again, a premise that was implied in the earliest set photos, before the creative overhaul, that they decided to not completely scrap as if it wouldn't completely destroy the point of season 3. Fisk is gonna be running for mayor and is actually fucking elected. Yeah, that guy who was arrested for a laundry list of severe federal crimes twice, crimes that the public is well aware of? That guy that was told the city rejected him and beat him into submission? He's free now! He qualifies to run for mayor and the city now loves him!
Actually, Madvocate, Mayor Fisk was a storyline in the comics, and Fisk has always been a thorn in Daredevil's ass. They're like Joker and Batman. They secretly need each other and their feud never ends. Also, look at who's currently the president of the United States. I also thought Fisk becoming mayor wasn't realistic, but then I realized art imitates life.
Oh my god, I already see these sorry-ass cope defenses being made on Twitter. First of all, Trump and Fisk are not guilty of identical crimes. Trump doesn't have variations of murder under his belt, as far as we know, and they do not have the same history. Fisk was already in prison and meant to stay there for a long fucking time. And second, I am not fucking advocating for comic accuracy or realism. I am advocating for some damn respect to be shown to the canonical stories that were previously told that gave them the opportunity to hype up Hawkeye, She-Hulk, and Echo, and make Born Again in the first place. Fisk being free and becoming mayor is a complete undermining of Matt and Ray Nadim's arcs in season 3. The whole fucking point was Matt became so broken by his losses that he abandoned his faith in God and the law, therefore believing murder was the only way to stop Fisk from cheating the system again. This was the height of his conflict with religion and the no-kill rule, but it ended with him holding on to his true self and mustering up the courage to let the justice system take care of it, like Foggy said it would, which was facilitated by Nadim making the very last play in his book, one that Fisk did not predict, one that would be seen by all of New York and is admissible in court, one that came at the expense of his own life. Fisk was going to be locked up for the rest of his miserable life in a cage because both Matt and Nadim did the right thing in the end. Now Fisk is free from prison, qualifies for a government position, and is supported by the masses just a few years later, meaning all of that was for nothing. Seema and Sammy are somewhere right now bawling their eyes out because Daddy is dead and the piece of shit who he sacrificed himself to put away is back on top, higher than ever before. Foggy and Blake Tower can go fuck themselves.
It's not gonna be the same this time. They're gonna throw him in some supermax hole where he can't compromise anybody. Nobody's above the law. The only thing powerful enough to take down scumbags like him is the law.
Well, the state of New York isn't gonna make the same mistake. Everyone knows his game now. Fisk won't manipulate the system again.
Season 3 ended with a heroic and hopeful tone. It really had a sense of finality to Fisk's antics. Unlike how Season 1 ended with him staring at the wall with suspenseful music, teasing his return, and it was actually believable. What is the fucking point of any of this if the status quo is Fisk goes to prison, he's prematurely released in a couple years, gets more power than before, causes a bunch of deaths, he's exposed, rinse and repeat. How do you actually stop him forever without without killing him. And not to mention Hawkeye, a literal Avenger who just had beef with Fisk and his tracksuit mafia a few months ago, would make a statement exposing his recent criminal activity as Kingpin, which yes, he was literally about to get arrested for in the finale.
He's not here. He's gone.
So either Clint won't say anything, or the public and the authorities just won't give a shit about any of it. Remember, the police hate Fisk. Either one is an issue, so pick your poison.
But Madvocate, you can't criticize the Disney Plus shows for inconsistencies with Netflix when the writers never even knew Netflix was gonna become canon.
I can and I will. All of you should know that I try not to take meta reasons into account when assessing writing on this channel. An inconsistency is an inconsistency. Doesn't matter what happened behind the scenes. I don't fault any writers if they were told they can stray away from Netflix as much as they wanted because Born Again will be a reboot, but I do blame Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios for poor planning, indecisiveness, and making it canon this fucking late. I want to make it clear that I am well aware all the yapping I just did could be rendered pointless in March. I know all my concerns regarding the continuity with Netflix could be explained in Born Again, it likely will be, but as of now, it's extremely difficult to imagine it will be well written. Similarly to how I predicted She-Hulk would do a terrible job making sense of Wong and Abomination's cameos in Shang-Chi, and was right once those episodes debuted. And had they just kept Born Again as a reboot, this video wouldn't even exist. By the way, that first straw nerd of this video isn't hyperbolic. You can find replies to that tweet vehemently believing that the Netflix shows have always been canon to the MCU, and that the news is simply common sense. Anyway, all of this was to say, because of that little tweet, I've decided that I will watch Born Again. I'm experiencing a repeat of Deadpool and Wolverine where yes, I can still enjoy the previous Daredevil seasons, but now there will be canonical confirmation of what happens after season 3, which means I have to rewatch Hawkeye, watch Echo, and watch She-Hulk.
Good luck.
P.S. If it pissed you off that I made this joke on Twitter, which was me turning a Sheev Talks tweet into a copypasta, and you interpreted this as me claiming Born Again was simply going to be a beat-by-beat remake of Season 3, you're a dumbass, plain and simple.